Good. And hi, Marie. Workbench cam's mirrored. Oh, that's good news. Finally. Going to be taking a little bit of a road trip this afternoon just to try it out. Well, that's not what I meant by a road trip. I mean, just go out for a drive somewhere. Find, I don't know, like a nice little mountain road and go out and enjoy just driving a new car on a twisty, windy road when there's no one else around. I need to wax my mustache. The hair is just starting to get a little out of control. Oh, right. Okay. So let's get back to this and we'll see if we can get this done. I'll put the standard lens back on today. So it's not going to be as sharp as yesterday, but it will be sharper than usual. Because this is a better quality lens than what was on there before. The doorbell again. Throat infection. Good afternoon, Sammy. Sammy OS 1214. Welcome in here. You've actually caught me at a critical point. This is my third attempt at mounting up these parts onto the ring band. I'm working on a commission for a family friend, an engagement ring. I'm a little bit behind, so I need to try and get this done before the end of the month and sent off to be molded and cast. Where are you from? And are you a jewelry maker yourself? You're still a mineral miner. Interesting. Kinu up there would be very interested in that. She's very interested in the crystals and the minerals. It's not something I know much about. That's very much her neck of the woods. I don't know if she's still actually in the room. She was going to be popping out to do some errands today. This is not my trade. This was my father's trade. But when he passed a couple of years ago, I decided to make an effort to keep all of his tools and continue some of his work. I do have a little bit of his skills. He did teach me some. Yep, Murray's Magfly just flared up. We have a synthetic diamond, VSD, 3.5 mil, so it's about 20 points, and two pink, very high quality pink sapphires. I put more money and effort into the sapphires than I did the diamond, but I'm working to a budget. It's very much a member of the family, so to speak. The lad who's getting in, well, he's actually getting married in June, and he still doesn't have the engagement ring because he wanted my dad to make it. My dad passed. He asked me to make it, and I've been dealing with so much of the family stuff. I just didn't have time to get started. So yeah, this is a bit late, and I do at least want him to have it for the wedding, at the very least. So I need to get this. This is the Silver Master I'm making. Need to get this made up and sent off for molding and casting by the end of the month. So yeah, this is a lab-grown synthetic diamond. So technically not a moissanite, no. It is diamond rated. It's certified, and it's come from one of my trusted suppliers. But yeah, it's a VSD color. It's beautiful to look at. But then personally, I think I think diamonds are overrated. I don't buy into the De Beers monopoly on diamonds. I prefer to see sapphires and rubies and emeralds than what it was essentially an industrial stone. But yet people like the diamonds, so it's not my choice. It is definitely him and his fiance it's his fiance that's going to be wearing it. So yeah, bit of a unique design. They've let me have a little bit of my design flair in the styling. But as I said, I'm not a goldsmith. That was my father's work. I actually work in IT, so I normally work with computers and computer software. Actually, where it ran though. Let's turn it off. And we shall leave this to cool down a little. There's not many people who do jewellery streams, unfortunately. It's kind of the reason why I'm doing this. Zoom all the way back out. It's kind of the reason I'm doing this is because I always tried to convince my dad to put a webcam up over his workbench and have a screen in the shop or in the window of the shop, just broadcasting what he's doing. But he was always, no, 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 you can't give away all the secrets. It's like, well, what secrets? You can learn everything you want on YouTube these days. It's not like somebody's just going to go out and buy all of this equipment so they can make their own ring. This is not a one-off kind of craft, but he was adamant about it. That's just how he was taught when he joined the industry. But I'm not a working goldsmith. I dabble in here. I'm just kind of keeping the skills alive as best I can. I know I'm trying to catch up on chat now. I think Marie just made a friend. Oh, you're working at the Herkimer dig. Yeah, diamonds. Yeah, I mean, my own ring. You can't really see it there, but this is a Damascus gold and silver ring that I made. So it's layers of gold and silver. I've got a little trillion Ceylon sapphire set in the tip of it. I do prefer sapphires. But yeah, the public will always like diamonds because that's what the advertising has fed them, and the price will always be high because the supply is controlled. But second-hand market for diamonds is non-existent. At one point, my dad was buying second-hand at trade price, but he was buying second-hand jewellery from things like from the pawn shops in Hatton Garden, and he was basically unsetting the stones and then melting down the metal to use it for stock for when he's doing repairs or little projects like I am today, and unsetting the stones. Whoops, sorry, my bad. Unsetting the stones so he could use them for other projects. Okay, well, Marie's going to keep you busy in chat while I get this in the acid pickle, get this cleaned up. So I'm not in the workshop very often. This is the front bedroom of my house. Technically, my insurance company doesn't know I have all this stuff in here. I don't think they'd be happy about it. But yeah, I just tinker. I like making and crafting. It's better than working with software, which is where I normally am. And I didn't want all of his tools to end up on the second-hand market or just pawned off somewhere by the family estate, because that's what my stepmother would have ended up doing. Just sold them off as cheap as possible. All these tools are here. These are the tools he worked with for the best part of 40 or 50 years. And yeah, I've got a little space in the house dedicated to just this. I mostly do repairs. I do the odd commission. I make pieces for friends. Um, but it's like maybe a couple of days out of the month I might come in here and do something. Um, but yeah, I've got my own little design style. I made a lot of pieces while I worked under him, but he didn't really get to teach me all of the trade because I had my own trade. And you know, time gets away from you. Gems, no. I've never even tried my hand at gem setting, and I'm going to have to do this piece. So the stones have been bought in. I almost exclusively work with metal. Most of my pieces that I make are they're more like sculpture than they are jewelry, but that's just my design style. Never really was that interested in jewelry until I had was considering having an engagement ring made. That never really kind of panned out, but that's when I started learning how to do this. And as I said, it would be a shame for a lifetime of his skills to go to waste. At least I could put them to some use. Even if I'm not necessarily passing on his skills to someone in particular. I did find him an apprentice, somebody I met selling little. I don't want to dismiss her work because her work was actually very good. She had a really good design style. But I was at an event and she had a little pop up stall and she was selling bits and pieces from her stall. Very interesting design style. I bought a couple of pieces because I liked them. Took them back, showed them to my dad, and I'm thinking, well, you've had people from the local colleges come round and try to learn, but you didn't have any patience with them, and they're not hardcore 100% grind like you are. What if I find you someone who's already kind of dabbling, who's playing around with some basically just cutting out from sheet metal, and you teach her how to make her work, her styles, her designs better, and the two of them got on like a house on fire. Um, she would pop round about 2 days a week. She'd pop into to his shop, be working at the bench. He'd be overseeing and just guiding her, and it really reignited his love for jewelry, um, and it gave him a bit of an outlet when he was starting to get really jaded with the fact that nobody's buying jewelry in a recession. And if you want to be doing high end jewelry, the back end of East London probably isn't the best place to have your space. But it was what it was, and I found a way to help him make the best of it. Thank you very much for the follow, sir. I assume it's sir. Apologies if not. But thank you very much for the follow. There's a lot of my stuff on Instagram. It's mostly making and tinkering, but there's a lot of my jewelry pictures and jewelry work on there as well. I do need to make up another Damascus billet at some point, maybe this year. I've got some money floating around that I can start buying up metal. But it is layers of silver and gold, twisted, hammered, warped, and then remilled, so you get a nice pattern through the metal. Ah, okay. So you're on your wife's account. Naughty, naughty. That way she gets all the alerts. What's your name? I'm Omar, obviously. I've also got the noise cancelling turned on these. Well, nice to meet you, Nick. Thank you for coming in. It's always nice to have a new face around. If I'm not making, I'm DMing. I run a D&D game for some friends in Europe and Canada, and occasionally you will see gaming streams from me, but not very often. I do game a lot, but it's not something I stream. Everybody streams that stuff. But you will see there's some VR streams on my list of previous broadcasts. I need to learn the Nürburgring again properly, for real this time. Not just like Gran Turismo. I need to learn the Nürburgring, so I've been driving the Nürburgring in VR using a racing rig lately. Sharpen your tools and make some new ones. I get that. And that is the mark of a craftsman, is basically you end up making your own tools because either you can't afford to buy them or the ones you're buying aren't that good anymore. A lot of the tools that I'm looking at, my dad made himself, or he modified or tweaked or customized to fit what he needed. But that's just the way of the industry. Right, that should be finished in the acid by now. I was meaning to put some of these. Oh, crap. Well, it wasn't as attached as well as I thought it was. It came off when I was drying it with the towel, so that wasn't soldered on securely. And I can see why. The solder ran on the surface, not actually under the band. Okie dokie. Let's have another go at that then. When I was doing this yesterday, I got all the solder in place and then realised that I'd soldered it on crooked. And then when trying to desolder it, it just kind of fell apart on me. It happens. Happens quite a lot actually. But that is the way of it. Um, our friend Silverstreak, her name's Sam as well, actually. She's very much into her rocks and minerals. When I went out there, she's in Canada. When I went out there last month, I took her a couple of meteorites from my collection, and she just lost. Well, she lost her shit anyway because it was a surprise visit. She had no idea I was coming out there. Her husband and I had planned it. But I took some meteorites from my collection. I picked up a couple extras through a friend of mine, and she got a ton of stuff for her birthday. She was very much overwhelmed that entire trip. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Let's see if I can get this right. So the solder ran on the surface of the support metal because I didn't heat the band up enough to draw the solder in. So that's nice and hot now. Much better. Much better indeed. Right, let's see if it's cooled down. Oh yeah, I'm not using the good lens today. Give me 2 seconds, I'll put the better lens on. I've got a pretty heavy duty camera lens. This normally goes on my big camera. I don't like using it in the workshop too much because it's actually quite heavy, and this tripod isn't particularly secure. Can't take the weight. So let me just swap lens out because this makes the soldering look much better. So I'm going to be doing another piece in a moment, so bear with me. Get that cleaned up in the acid. It's always the slowest part of the process. It's really off angle. I need to get my bigger tripod in here. This little flimsy plastic one can't take the weight. At least not with this lens on it. Right. So a couple of people I know are into rocks and minerals. Marie being the biggest magpie of a lot of them. Sam was interested in anything geological. My friend Dave the train driver, astronomer, and pilot, because he does lots of little things like me. He gets bored easy. He's into his meteorites, and he got me into meteorite collecting. Not a massive collection. I've got about 5 or 6 different pieces. I've got a lovely iron chondrite that's got a tiny little bit of quartz embedded inside it, and they've cut it to look like a cushion cut with the quartz just on the corner. It would be a candidate for turning into a piece of jewelry, but again, wouldn't want to wear an iron meteorite raw on your skin because that'll just start to rust if you're not careful. I've got another iron chondrite that's got olivine nodules in it. It's part of the Semchan fall. So I think that thing's been sliced up millions of different ways and sold on over and over again. But I bought a couple of pieces of Semchan, one of which I gave to Sam. So you've got the little bubbles of olivine inside it. That's a beautiful sample, but it's hermetically sealed because Semchan is notoriously unstable. And then a couple of iron chondrites, some stony chondrites, a couple of other slices of iron where you can see that somebody's bought a slice of massive iron chondrite and they've cored it out to make watch faces. So you've got these weird kind of perfectly semicircular cuts in it that nobody's going to want a piece of meteorite that's just a lump of iron with big half. It's basically leftovers. Um, it's actually a nice piece, nice heavy piece. It's got really good crystallization in it. Really nice crisscross striations. Despite the cuts, it's a very, very nice piece. And then I've got a couple of geodes that used to belong to my dad. Got a small fragment of amethyst. I've got a half amethyst geode. It's about this big, probably about 15 kilos. It's about 2/3. Where they kind of went into the geode, I think part of it cracked as they were trying to saw through it. So that part may have crumbled away, and they've sold that off as smaller pieces, and it's the remaining 2/3 is intact. And then downstairs in the living room, I've got a nice citrine quartz geode, both halves of it, completely intact. And they're about 15 kilos each. The larger piece is probably close to 20, 25 kilos, actually. It takes two people to lift those and move those around the house. But yeah, that's mostly my dad's interest. Picked up a lot of some of the enthusiasm for that stuff from him. But this, everything you've seen today here, this is his trade. Um, okay, much better. Yes, much better. Solder ran well. Alignment is good. So, let's see, can you see that? I need to be here. So, what I need to do is there's going to be a lot of filing and we're going the right way. Yeah, there we go. And focus. So that's tacked on. I haven't soldered the arms down onto the band fully, only at this end. These are going to be blended down into the band. These have to be trimmed on the sides and then rounded over. So all of that's going to kind of blend into the piece. So I need to now enough join here that when I start blending back here, you don't lose all the structural integrity. And it looks like it did attach. So I've got solder markings all the way around on the inside here. So it goes, the solder joint's gone to at least this point. This side could be better, but it's solid. It's not as, didn't travel as far, it only wicked about that way in, but that should be enough, at least for a master. If this was the final piece, that would be a different story. But let us lay up the second piece now, because that's only half of it. Too much pressure on that. The pieces have come apart. Right, let's get it back on the block. Reattach these pieces. I've got to try and remember which is the bottom. So these pieces of metal triangular. I have a thing with working for triangular profile wire. Where the solder broke, it's a little bit dirty and a little bit lumpy in places, so I just want to get that cleaned up before I reattach. find a flat spot on the mat. Okay, that looks good. Let's see, solder. So that's easy solder. I want medium at least. Can't go hard because the metal's too thin. And we end up melting the metal. So a bit of medium. While the machine warms up. Right, well, drive careful, Marie. It's a new car. You're not used to it. It's bigger than you're used to. It's considerably bigger than you are. So, yeah, at least get it home in one piece. I'm not working with oxyacetylene like some goldsmiths do. This is hydrogen. So this is a machine called an aquaflame or flame polisher. Um, it's basically a hydrogen gas generator. Oh, there goes my solder. Any attached yet? It's a hydrogen gas generator, so it uses electrolysis to create hydrogen gas. Bubbles that through a stabilizing solution of methyl ethyl ketone. And that gives you a nice stable flame temperature of between 1800 and 2500 Celsius. It varies a little bit depending on where in the flame you have the piece, as the flame itself has some variations in temperature. But this is a much cleaner way to work. It doesn't produce all the nasty fumes and what have you. And this is what, when my dad used to work in commercially, this is what they used in the main workshops. So he was a master maker. He used to do day in, day out exactly what I'm doing. You take a drawing that's come from the art department or the design teams, and then you make that out of silver. That becomes the master. That then goes away to be molded and cast into wax, and then from there they produce all the copies. Right, we have a solid join now. Oh, sorry, I didn't zoom in on that one. My fault. No, Marie, don't be trying the Nurburgring. That's usually my thing. Marie and I used to work together. When she joined the company I worked for, I did her onboarding. I did her initial, was it a week or 2 weeks? I can't remember. I think it was just a week's training. We've stayed in touch afterwards. I'm just in the north of England. Marie lives in Bavaria. When I get my new car, I'll be taking that over to the Nürburgring and giving that a drive around the track, hence needing to learn the circuit. So I'm going to get this other support attached. The way that the ring is designed is if you've got the ring band horizontal there, there's going to be two supports coming up. They want the stones not to be vertical or horizontal, but at a slight diagonal across the finger. So very slight angle, maybe 30 degrees. So I've got two pieces these are the two pieces I'm tacking on, which would normally hold the collets for the stones. But there's 3 stones, diamond in the center and 2 pink sapphires, and they're going to be offset. And then they're going to be offset this way. So we've got a pink sapphire on this one, the diamond held between these two, and another pink sapphire on this one. And you're going to get 3 stones in a row diagonally, and that's what I'm mounting on, the 3 arms, which I can then bend around to fit. Last of my coffee. Oh, that's right. I should go and pick something up before 3 o'clock, and it's what, 20 to 2 now. Okay, let's get this piece attached, and then I am going to call it a day because I don't have a huge amount of time. I'm off to London tomorrow, shooting all day tomorrow on Thursday. So drive tomorrow is going to take me about 5 hours, and then I'm going to have to spend tonight maybe here getting stuff ready for that. Because I've got an early start tomorrow morning for the drive down, and I need to pick something up before it gets too late. Right, let's get this attached, and I can call it a day at least here. And once this is attached, this will be good progress. Because this is kind of taking me back to where I was yesterday before things went kind of disastrously wrong and everything started falling apart on me. That's the strong ones. Good there. Looking good there. You zoomed all the way in. Looks good. And we'll get this final piece attached, and I'll call it a morning. Though it's only 2 o'clock. That's solder. Flux. join, I think. How did that look on camera? I'm liking this. I really do like this lens, but it's too big and heavy for this tripod. I need a sturdier tripod to mount it on. But everything should be really, really sharp, and the depth of field is really shallow, so you get really nice kind of cinematic view of what I'm pocking up at any particular moment. All right, let's get you up there. Let's get you onto the copper mount. So again, this is my dad's ways of working, but just to the corner here, there's a big sheet of copper, which he used to use as a heat sink. So whenever something's just come out of soldering, you put it straight down on the copper, it pulls all the heat out and it cools it down. Not too fast, not like quenching it in the acid solution. But also the tools, let the tools cool down, because I've made the mistake of picking up hot tools in the past. Right, let's get this in the acid. I'm going to leave that pickling for the rest of the day, so I'll just unplug that. And actually, before I finish, well, I'll let that pickle, make sure there's no problems with that before I start packing too much away. If there is any problems or if I need to resolder it, I can do that pretty quickly. But yes, thank you for popping along to the stream, Nick. I don't believe there are many jewelry makers on Twitch. I've seen a few doing making and crafting streams. There's one French girl that Marie and I both follow. Marie's half French, half German. But her English isn't great. So I do watch her work, but I tend to keep it muted. And as it tends to be the case with the bigger streamers or the more popular streamers, what you tend to get is more chat and more noise from the chat group, redeemables and things like that. There's more noise going on than there is actual work. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, my stream is still pretty small. So when I'm working, I actually do get to do work. I don't get too distracted by chat. But it's nice to have somebody to chat to once in a while, especially somebody new. But yeah, most of while I'm here, if I'm here at all, you'll see me kind of just talking to myself about what I'm doing, just talking myself through the process. Than kind of sitting answering questions or talking to chat. But yeah, I'm certainly glad you popped along. Hope you've enjoyed today. Going to pull that out of the acid and we'll see what it looks like, and then we'll then stream for today. Let's just see if there's anybody else online that's worth a raid. I don't think anybody that I really follow is online today. No, I'm only getting recommendations. What is it, Tuesday today? I think there'll be a few people online. Ah, Rivinello. Oh, sorry, Rinvello. My apologies. Yes. I'm going to be ending shortly. Been attaching some support arms for the stone collets onto a ring band. I did do it yesterday, and things were moving out of position, and when I tried to detach them and reattach them, they just kind of fell apart. So kind of binned all that, started again with the supports, cut 4 new pieces of metal yesterday afternoon. They're now soldered up into place, and they've now been attached onto the ring, and they'll be the support for the stones. So there'll be a little bit of shaping and twisting, but that's yet to be done. So they've gone on. They seem to have gone on okay. We did have one pair of arms that kind of separated. I had to resolder those. Rimvello, I know the name. You're normally in Sam's chat, aren't you? You're normally on with Silverstreak. She should be streaming today. She did say she's got today and tomorrow off the stream, so I'm going to do modding for her later today. But let's zoom. Let's see what we've got. So, oh, okay, can't even get the camera. There we go. So that's where we are. My arms there, they're attached nicely. There's my loop. Yep, that's looking good both sides. Actually, this backside could do with a little bit more, bit of a gap there. I could probably do with running a little bit of solder into that side there, just to bolster that a little. So let me do that before we end. I use softer solder here. I don't want to melt anything. I don't want to collapse the other joints that I've already made. Machine on. Positions in a way that you guys can see what I'm doing as well. So I want to focus there. Come on. Focus. Good. Yeah, that should be nice and sharp now. There we go. Good. I want to heat the band itself. These arms are very thin, So really what I want to heat is the band, and that will draw the solder down onto the band rather than it wicking onto the arms, which happened before. Solder's just starting to run. It's looking good. There we are. Nicely done. So let's drop this on the map. Cool down a bit. Into the acid, and that will pickle overnight. I said I'm going to be heading down to London tomorrow, so I'm going to be driving all day tomorrow, so I need to get an early start. So that will clean up in the acid for the rest of today. I'll pull that out later this afternoon, check it, see what else needs to be done to it, and then when I come back from my trip Friday night, Saturday morning, I'll be back at the bench trying to get that finished. Okay, right, so productive, much more productive than yesterday. Things were kind of going wrong yesterday, and honestly, when I'm starting to get tired and things are going wrong and I'm getting a bit frustrated with myself, the best thing for me to do is just stop. Stop, step away, come back later after I've had something to eat, or given that I don't usually start at the bench till about midday, it's like 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon by the time things start going wrong, and it's like, no, let's call it a day. I'm gonna come back and do this tomorrow. So that's where we are. We've got the band done. It's mostly shaped. I still need to blend in those two arms, so I need to blend in the back of the arms where I've attached them to the ring band. No, I need to be over here. So these two arms, the stones are going to be not horizontal across the top of the band, but they're going to be at about a 30-degree angle. So these need to be kind of bent like that, which is how you saw them attached. And then these two ones are going to hold on the main stone, which is the diamond. This one's going to be holding a sapphire, and this one's going to be holding a sapphire. And once they're all trimmed down to length, it's going to look kind of more like that. So that's the plan. I've got to get that cast in white gold, so I need to get the master finished, all cleaned up, making it look as good as possible, fill in any gaps or cracks or anything, any voids that might be in there need to be filled in, just like I did just now. There was a tiny little gap in the metal, so flowed that with solder to kind of fill that in. Ideally you shouldn't do that, but still, I'm doing the best I can at the moment. But yeah, get that all roughed out in as good a shape as possible. Send it away. It'll take about 2 weeks for it to be molded and then cast into silver. Into white gold. I've got a couple of other pieces I need cast up in silver at the same time. And then when that comes back, that gives me a couple of weeks that I can finish the metal itself, attach the collets, which I've already bought. So I've got the collets and the stones there. So the collets are already white gold. So I need to just get the arms into the position that I want, and then the collets will literally drop in, tiny little bit of solder on each of those to attach them into place, and then I can set the stones on the top. And hopefully that will be the ring done. Hopefully. Right, I'm going to call it a day here. And it's, 2 o'clock, so I've still got an hour. I need to pop out and pick something up from something I've ordered. I need to pick that up. And Sam should be getting online soon for her stream. So I need to be ready because I'm going to be modding stream there. What time is it? So it is 9 o'clock Sam time. So it's 2 in the afternoon British summer time. I'm mostly packed. I need to get the guns out for tomorrow. I need to get all my equipment out for tomorrow. 6-hour drive, shooting Thursday, 6-hour drive back, and then back at the workbench on Saturday. Yeah. So, thank you very much for joining. Rinvello, sorry you kind of missed the bulk of it, but you did catch a little bit at the end there. I'm glad you saw some of what I'm doing. If I'm streaming from the bench, it's normally from about midday onwards, midday my time, midday British time. So I'm normally streaming from about midday onwards because, frankly, I don't wake up early, and it takes me a while to kind of get into to wake myself up and get into the swing of things. But I will be doing more of this the weekend and next week, because I need to get this off to be molded and casted. I'm trying for a delivery date of May. The wedding is at the end of June. They've already got the wedding band sorted out, but they still haven't got the engagement ring. So this needs to be done before the end of June, and I want to deliver it before the day. So at least want to try and get it to them by the end of next month. So it gives me time to do casting, gives me time to do my finishing, gives me time to do my stone setting. And if for any reason I can't, or I make a complete mess of it, I've still got some time in hand to order replacement parts or to send it out to someone who does know how to do stone setting and can do a better job than I can. So, right, that's in the acid. That's going to stay there for the rest of the day, get cleaned up, and I will work on that Saturday. As for everything else, thank you all guys for joining. I hope you've enjoyed what little you've been able to see. Thank you, Nick, for finding me and following. Rinvello, thanks for joining as well. And if I don't see you guys in Sam's stream later this afternoon, hopefully you'll be able to catch my next stream, which will be the next weekend or the Monday. And yeah, we'll pick up where we left off. Try and get this thing finished. It's been a bit frustrating, and the worst part is yet to come, unfortunately. This stuff I know how to do. Stone setting, I do not. So I'm having to learn how to stone set on this piece, which means I've got to go really carefully, really slowly, and take my time. Not really me. So... right, yeah, I'm going to call it there. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you've enjoyed today's stream. Obviously, there'll be highlights, and I'll catch you next time.